So tonight we ask, has the monarchy got a bright future, or is it something that's now on the decline? So, Linda, what do you think?
Sometimes I get a bit tired of the New York Times bashing this drum. I really, really do. At the end of the day, who are they to ask whether we should get rid of our monarchy?
Yeah.
It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, at the end of the day, we've got a monarchy. We need to take care of it. We need to be very careful about how we engage with the media, because actually, Benedict and I were talking a few moments ago before we came on air. There may be a problem with the royal family opening the door a little bit too wide to the media many decades ago, and now it's getting wider and wider and wider, and it's harder to control. And that's one thing that did come out in the Netflix documentary. And although I'm kind of aware of it as a journalist, I don't think the general public will be aware of this kind of tacit agreement between the comms people in the palace and media people about how the whole thing is handled. That, I do think, surprised people, and that is the kind of thing that weakens the monarchy.
Yeah, because the one thing that really stood out to me in the first two episodes watching of that was, and you kind of forget very quickly, but, you know, when Harry was at school and he came out one day and there weren't just a lot of journalists. I mean, there were hundreds. There was like the world's press outside. And you think you're 14, 15 years of age and you go, I know you are the Prince of England and all that, but still, as a young man, do you need that? And I think you're absolutely right. Do we need... do you remember years ago when they did the It's a Knockout, which became a fiasco, but it was their sort of first attempt to try and be a little bit more public-facing and be a bit more open and modern, and that one obviously went badly wrong. So, Benedict, where do you sit on this? I mean, obviously, do you love our monarchy?
I don't feel that strongly about it. I'm not sort of against it or anything like that. I tend to view the monarchy very much through the prism of it saves us from having a President Liz Truss or a President Boris Johnson or a President Tony Blair, and I'm fully on board with that because the calibre of our politicians is somewhat even worse than the calibre of our royals. So I thank the Lord that we are saved from that misfortune. I do think that it's probably on the decline simply because I don't think that there are that many people prepared to fight for it, possibly because they all feel like me, not that strongly about it. Even those people who are royalists are sort of royalists in the same way that a lot of people are members of the Church of England. They might have, a lot of the traditions or perhaps were baptised when they were young, but it's not really a central part of their lives. On the subject of the New York Times, running a piece saying that the monarchy should be abolished, the first thing you need to remember is the New York Times is the paper of the US elite, and America is in the business of regime change around the world and hasn't overthrown a government in some time. So obviously they're getting itchy feet.
Getting itchy feet, yeah.
But we need to remember a couple of things. It's not a British paper. It shouldn't really be for British people.
Exactly right.
We don't read La Repubblica or Corriere della Sera because we don't tend to speak the same language. We only read this newspaper because it's retweeted by people in the Anglosphere. It doesn't necessarily matter. The other thing to remember is they do this very deliberately because they know that it riles us up. They know that we retweet the articles, that we read them, and that it gets traffic. All of this is a massive effort to increase traffic, to increase advertising revenue. So if you don't like what the New York Times has to say, it's very simple. Don't read it, don't click on it. Exactly. You can't even buy it on most newsstands. So why on earth is it having any kind of impact in your life? Let them overthrow the government of El Salvador. Let them criticise, Russia's administration. That's fine. Let them do what they want. That's what they do. It's nothing to do with us.
The royal family clearly are in a very interesting position right now. Queen Elizabeth II died, our longest ever monarch. And you can see the outpouring in a way of love and respect for her, and everything she did in those 70 years was actually quite overwhelming, I thought. Not here, but around the world, people could feel it. So now we've got King Charles and now he has to try and establish himself. What kind of king, what kind of monarch, and what kind of monarchy are we going to have? So, Aisling, to start with, what do you think of the monarchy?
Oh, I love the monarchy. And who in New York, like you said, who in New York Times to dictate to us what their feelings are on our monarchy? They don't have one.
But do you love them as people or do you love them as an institution?
No, I think there's been a lot of... As an institution, yeah. I love the Queen. I don't have a problem with King Charles, unless he's got a problem with me, maybe.
I think you'd be OK there, to be fair. But, yeah.
I mean, there are some other really dubious characters, and I think that it needs to be slimmed down quite a lot.